Mark Cuban, we're coming for you. When my partner Todd Goldberg pitched me on this idea in 2017, a show like Shark Tank where viewers can invest, reality is that there's Uber drivers that had this idea, but the execution is everything. So we've had Floyd Mayweather, we've had Baron Davis, we strapped the founders up to a lie detector, and there's a polygraph administrator asking them questions. Are you the right CEO to run this business? Do you feel like an imposter?
The show, dude, I think is going to go big. What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, as always, I got a real treat for you. Darren Marble in the house.
What's up, Brad? Great to be here, man.
Now, if you can, move that microphone close so people don't miss a word that you say.
I got you.
Now, folks, if you guys don't know who Darren Marble is, that's because usually he's behind the cameras. He's freaking producing, executive producer, founder, inventor of a show called Going Public, which I do love the concept, dude. Going Public, guys. And if you want to right now, go get X or Twitter. You ever see that people just refuse to call it X?
I still call it Twitter. I'm like 50-50 on the platform.
I still call it Twitter because when I say
sticks.
X, people go, what? I'm like, dude, Twitter.
If you're on the platform and you use it every day, it's X. But if you're not obsessively using it, you might still call it Twitter.
I say where the smart people hang out. I really do believe that like X is higher level conversations, more intellectuals on that platform.
Not always, but oftentimes.
It
Depends.
seems.
You know, there's a lot of shit there. There's a lot of trolls and there is toxicity, but that's part of the beauty of the platform, right? It is a free speech platform. That's what Musk wants it to be. That's why he bought the platform. Anybody can say anything they want as long as it's not hate speech. And yes, there are intellectuals there. And now business shows.
Business shows. Specifically Going Public, which, by the way, folks, if you guys haven't seen it, you got to go check this thing out. It's a killer show. I think it's going to dwarf even like Shark Tank, dare I say. Because Shark Tank was kind of a big hit, but dude, yours is better.
Mark Cuban, we're coming for you.
Mark,
putting him on notice.
Yeah, and let me tell you something.
He voted for Kamala.
It's better.
It was over. Once he picked Kamala, he did it to himself. Like, well, how are you going to come back from that? I'm serious.
Well, again, he's not.
No.
Like, dude, everyone used to like Mark, and now everyone's like,
not anymore.
But the show's going to be better, and that ain't Mark's show, Shark Tank, is it?
No, it's Mark Burnett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he has some home runs. Well, I think this one's going to outdo it because, folks, it's the first one and only one where you, the viewer, not only gets entertained and it's like very cool to watch, very well produced, by the way.
Thank you.
But it also, you can invest you don't even have to be an accredited investor, do you?
Anyone over the age of 18 can invest in the companies in this show. It's legal, it's compliant, but more than anything, we want it to be entertaining.
Well, it is entertaining. When I started watching it, I was like, dude, this is a good show. I think this is going to blow up. But then I found out it's on X. And I'm like, that didn't make any sense. I'm like, well, how come I can't like get it on my television?
Well, listen, one day I think you will. And this is one of those shows when my partner Todd Goldberg pitched me on this idea in 2017, a show like Shark Tank where viewers can invest. I turned him down in like 5 seconds. I said, Todd, I've heard this pitch about 100 times. It's one of the most commonly pitched ideas on Wall Street and in Hollywood. And he was pissed. Todd does not like hearing no for an answer. He's like, wait a minute. If this show is such a commonly pitched idea, Darren, where is it? And of course it didn't exist. And one of the reasons it didn't exist is that it's really complicated. The show involves the actual sale of securities. So, the SEC and FINRA have some oversight of the offerings and the deals in this series because it involves the sale of securities. And for that reason, we knew when we started out on this journey that it was never going to go straight to Netflix. It was never going to go straight to Hulu. We were going to be forced to prove it out on smaller platforms. And we put out season 1 on entrepreneur.com. And that was a big milestone for us, just to have a platform say, yes, we'll distribute the series and we'll push it out to the readers and users of our platform. That was a big win. And then season 2, we did a deal with Dow Jones, which owns MarketWatch, Barron's, the Wall Street Journal. But of course, if you talk about entrepreneur.com or marketwatch.com to anybody in LA, they'll be like, what do who are these platforms? These are kind of nothing platforms in traditional Hollywood. But X is interesting because One, they have 600 million monthly active users, and they're on their way to 1 billion. And two, it's the most real-time social media platform on the planet. So you can post something, and then less than a second later, 100 people have already replied. So we thought, you know what? Let's make a bet with X. Let's make a bet with Linda Yaccarino, who's the CEO, and of course Musk, who's the greatest entrepreneur and innovator of our time, that these guys are going to make a run, not just for traditional legacy media, but traditional financial media. So they're going after CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, and we want to help them take them down.
So how'd you get the concept? The guy approached you and you said, we've done this. And again, like I told you when I talked to you, like I thought of it too. Like I was like, man, it'd be cool if I can invest in Shark Tank. They should have a show where I can invest.
It was a really good friend of mine. Todd and I have been friends for 20 years in LA. Our wives used to teach at a private school in LA. And so I was involved in an IPO at the time where the everyday American, the retail investor, was able to buy IPO shares at the IPO price. We were pioneering a part of the industry, which is called online capital raising. And so Todd took me to dinner at a Ruth's Chris in New York, and he pitched me this idea because he had been involved in a medtech company that he had worked at for 7 years. And when it came time for an IPO, he had soft circled $1 million from his friends and family that were like, Todd, we'd love to support you. We know how hard you've worked. He goes to the chairman and says, hey, great news. I've got $1 million for this IPO, thinking the chairman would be impressed. The chairman says, Todd, that's not how this works. We don't need your $1 million from your friends and family. The shares are allocated to institutional investors, and your friends and family can invest after the IPO once we're public. And that didn't sit well with him. So he brought me the concept, but I'd heard this pitch. I mean, there were bankers on Wall Street. I had seen pitch decks. Reality is that there's Uber drivers that had this idea, but the execution is everything, right? That's why they say like ideas are a dime a dozen. It's, can you execute the idea? And this idea took, man, like 8 years to actually bring it to life to the point where it is today.
Really?
Oh yeah.
See, it seems easy because once you see it done, you're like, hey, dude, this is a good show. That was my idea. I should have just done it. But even if I would have, I may not have done it or accomplished it the same.
It's a lot. There were multiple pieces. And I think the production and the capital we needed to produce the show, and then bringing celebrities and talent like Ninja's one of the co-founders of a company in season 3. Those are actually the easy pieces. The harder pieces are, what is the technology that we need? So that you as a viewer, if you see a company you like and you want to invest, you can click to invest and buy shares in that business in 45 seconds and check out using Apple Pay or Google Pay. The same way that you buy products or I buy products when I click off of an ad on Instagram. You know, I don't want to feel like I'm opening a brokerage account. I'm not going to wire. You want to just buy. So we needed technology, compliance. I mean, it was just all these different disparate pieces we had to put together. And now we're having fun with it. I think the show we just released is by far the most entertaining season of this show we've produced. And I as much as it would be cool to say, yeah, this thing's on Netflix, I don't know if that's the end goal. I am really bullish on X as a platform. They're licensing original content. You know, it's a big category for them. And why can't they be a Netflix killer? You know, people might scoff at that idea, but man, I'm not betting against Musk. We're going to bet with him.
Well, I mean, nowadays everything's going to the phone anyway.
That's right.
My little kids, they don't watch TV.
That's right.
They literally sit there and watch their phone. Last night you ever heard of an Alaskan king?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a huge bed.
Of course.
It's like Shaquille O'Neal huge. Well, we have one of those, and my wife's like 90 feet away, and I'm watching TV because I'm still an old school TV guy. That's why I was wondering, like, where is it? It's like on X. I don't want to watch it on a little, but my wife, who's, you know, younger than I, she's watching it on her phone, a show. Kids are watching them on their phones. Like, dude, phones is where it's at. So I'd just probably be old school. That's the new television anyway, wouldn't you say?
Or the kids, like my kids, they'll stream YouTube from TV or from their iPad.
Yeah, on the phone.
Yeah, so like they're literally watching YouTube videos on television.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like, you know, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, so that'd be cool if X just became a network where it's like, you know, shows are coming out on X, and it sounds like they're pushing some finances that way.
They are.
So
yeah.
are you kind of proud that they chose? Because, dude, that's a pretty big decision. They're not just letting anybody do it.
Yeah, no, we got a warm introduction to Linda Yaccarino, who Musk hired to run the business. She has been there for 2 years. A lot of people doubted her, didn't think she would last a day or a month at X under Musk, and she has outperformed. She's awesome. And with a show like this, and I mean, as you know, as a sales guy, you always want to sell at the top. I mean, X is still a big organization, even though they axed, 80% of the employees or more. There's still 1,500 people. We wanted to go straight to the top. We wanted to have a visionary executive, the key decision maker, say yes. Because we knew if we could get the CEO, everything falls into place. The dominoes start falling. And we waited like 8 or 9 months to really make that ask and get the right warm introduction. It took us a long time, but we're patient. We've been at this for years now. So we were never in a rush to be like, let's just go pitch this to somebody our production company knows that it's on the content team. The content team, by the way, is great. They're rock stars. They're A+ players. But we had intention to go to the top because we knew that if we could get the yes from the CEO, it would make our lives 10 times easier.
So why did your buddy go to you? Like, what was your background?
We were on the cutting edge of capital markets, helping companies raise capital under new tools that are called Jobs Act exemptions. So in 2008, financial crisis destroys the world. And one of the responses was a piece of legislation called the Jobs Act. And this was signed into law in April 2012. And then the provisions of this act rolled out and became effective in the U.S. over the next 3 to 5 years. Provisions that allow startups in the U.S. to raise capital directly from their customers, fans, and followers, anyone over the age of 18. Like you said, non-accredited retail investors. Regular people who previous to this were completely barred from investing in startups. You had to be accredited.
Which I think is a scam
it is a scam.
Of itself.
I mean, it is a scam. Look, VCs make bad bets all the time. Sequoia made a bet on FTX. Tim Draper made a bet on Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. These people are not smarter than the average American. They're just better connected.
They're well connected.
They're maybe a little more charismatic. They know a thing or two about putting a fund together. Doesn't mean they're any better. If you are a customer of a product and you get value from that product and you use that product, you might have more insight into that business than somebody in Silicon Valley that's reading a pitch deck, right? So the whole concept was, let's let the small investor become an owner, and then let's let that company market the deal. That's called general solicitation. So previously you couldn't do that. If I was raising capital before this, I had to have a relationship with you or someone in your studio, and that's a pre-existing relationship. Then I could take my deal to you. But now I can raise my hand and go out on X and say, I'm raising capital. I'm raising $1 million. Anybody who sees this can come in and invest. You can learn about my business.
Now, obviously, you have a bunch of businesses wanting to be on the show.
Yep.
Because obviously they get exposure.
Totally.
And more than likely funding. Because I would imagine with all the viewers, everyone's going to invest in everything.
That's the goal.
So it's almost like I like that one better. Well, I can invest in all of them or none of them. And that's the beautiful part. Like, I'm sitting at home watching and I want to throw in $20. Well, dude, it's kind of like when you bet on the game. It just makes it more fun to watch. So like, I think it's going to catch on just because they've got that ability to invest. So they're going to pay attention a little bit closer. You got the entertainment element. I think it's going to go big. It's already gone pretty viral. And now you're on what, third season?
Third season. I mean, it's been a grind. It's taken us 8 years to do 3 seasons, but now I think it's going to be tough for the next guys to compete. There is no competitive show to this right now. Of course, there will be. But, if you look at Shark Tank as an example, it was kind of a winner-take-all series. There are probably a dozen or 2 dozen knockoffs of Shark Tank that are not Shark Tank. And they're just not as interesting. But it's an entrepreneur that comes into a room and pitches a panel of people who are not Mark Cuban, Kevin O'Leary, Damon John. That's where the brand is. I think that this is going to have a similar outcome where there will be 1 or 2 massively mainstream interactive investing shows and then a lot of wannabes.
I saw an episode with a drink called Nutcase. Is that a trailer or has that been released?
No, it's out. That's the company that is starring in season 1 of the show.
So where's the cutoff? Like, that one's closed. Like, do you open and close it during the show?
So it's a great question. Like, the way this works and what we learned in seasons 1 and 2 is we want to tell a story over several weeks. So this format is 5 episodes. The first 4 episodes, they're about 20, 25 minutes each. And we're actually weaving in stories from each company. There's 3 companies in the season. You might see one company more heavily featured in episode 1 or episode 2. They're released every Tuesday. We just released episode 1 today. The deals are actually not open. You can only join the wait list for early access. It culminates in a live stream finale on X in early June. And at that moment, the deals open up. So in seasons 1 and 2, we had a mechanism where you could click to invest instantly. The first 5 seconds of episode 1, season 2, without knowing what the show is, what these companies are. And we realized that was a mistake. We need to create a desire for people to come in at a certain time. Appointment viewing, right? Make them wait, make them learn about the business, get on the email list, and fight to invest potentially when the deals open up. So it's kind of 4 episodes, it's a build up, and then the investments open in the finale. And then they close, whenever the company wants. If they raise their amount, they keep it open for a month. It's really up to them.
Have you thought about doing it like 3 businesses per episode and invest immediately, and when the show's over, it's over?
Absolutely. I think, we talked about this earlier, which is that we're spinning off other shows. Like, one of our investors is Phil Hellmuth, 18-time World Series of Poker champ. He's an absolute rock star, and he is an investor in Nutcase. So he's in the series. He's in the show. He said, guys, I can carry a show. We should do a show with me as a judge. And so that show can have a different format where maybe there's 1 company per episode. So if we did get this show on broadcast, let's say on CNBC, although I don't think that's where it's going to go. But if we did, I could imagine like a 25-minute episode. It's profiling one business. At the end of the episode, the deal opens. But for now, it's kind of a serial narrative where we're telling the stories of several founders on a journey over a season.
So who paid for this?
We raised about $11 million, and we have 85 investors. I've raised capital every which way. I've had people in my DMs on LinkedIn, on X, asking if they can invest. I've paid promoters in New York $25,000 to pitch, like a total sucker's bet, by the way, and ended up meeting billionaire investors, guys like Chris Birch, who's the co-founder of Tory Burch, referrals, broker dealers. So like, we are definitely in the capital raising business, and we have raised capital in a variety of ways, and it's tough. It's hard to raise money. And so part of our goal at the show is to make it easier, like you said, where in theory, in the future, if we could put any company in this show and know they would raise money, we'd have something special. But it's hard. I mean, so we've raised a lot of money over the years, and like they always tell you, raise money over 3 months and close your round and go run your business. Never happens like that. Like, our capital comes in, 2 investors in January, 1 in February, 2 in March, none in April, none in May, 5 in June. It's just how it is. But we've done a pretty decent job of it.
So is that closed? Like, because I kind of maybe I'll invest in the show.
We're still raising.
Yeah, because the show, dude, I think it's going to go big.
Thanks, man. We think so too.
Number 1, it looks good. Number 2, it looks like it's produced well. But more importantly, people are addictive to gambling, and I see it as basically a gamble. And not only that, like, you're not gambling millions of dollars. You don't have to sit there and look at the financials and go deep. It's like you watch the founder, you see if he cracks under pressure, you listen to his answers or hers, you look at the product. Yeah, I think this is going to go big. Let me throw 50. But dude, when 1 million people throw 50, well, that's 50 million.
That's exactly right.
And it's nothing, but it's everything. And then that company has massive funding just like that. And dude, people are going to be addicted, because imagine throwing $20 in and bam, it doesn't make you a billionaire, but next thing you know, dude, it's a hit. Now you're glued to that show. I want to see every single company profile that's coming out.
So you hit the nail on the head, Brad, which is, I think every person out there, and especially Americans, there's a gambler in all of us. And I'm not talking about the gambling I do. I'm a craps guy, right? I don't think of it as a vice. I love throwing dice. Maybe I've made this show for myself, because when I throw the dice in that moment, anything's possible. I could bet on ace deuce. It's my lucky number. I could do repeating twos all the hard ways. I mean, I was playing last night. I had a run at El Cortez. I think everybody has a small gambler in them, and this show appeals to that, the gambling nature.
Yeah.
If you look at it in an extreme way, you could say we've kind of moved into this degenerate gambling culture with cryptocurrency and meme coins, and Trump and Melania have their own meme coins, and you don't have to wait. You can just buy into a deal. It pumps and you're out. But that's actually a great way to lose money fast. Like, people don't make money betting on meme coins. 99 out of 100 people are going to lose everything. It's an insider's game. At least when you invest in startups or real estate or private equity or alternatives, you're investing into an asset that has cash flows, technology, intellectual property, revenues, patents. These are things that have real tangible value.
Teams,
people running the business, showing up every day.
Yeah, I want to see who the people are. And
who are the people?
Whether they crack, how are they?
That's exactly right.
Because I think usually it's not necessarily the financials of a startup that you bank on. You bank on the founders and the team behind them. You know what I mean? Are they willing to crack under pressure? Do they crack? Are their answers certain and intelligent? What's their energy like? If I see something like that, I'm not really too concerned with the financials, because number one, it's a startup. You just got to have a hunch. You get paid to roll the dice, not shake the dice. I keep trying to tell people that. Like, you play craps.
Of course.
Okay,
yeah.
Pretend you're shaking the dice right now. Just shake the dice. Don't roll them, though. Just shake the dice. You know how to shake the dice?
Of course.
How do you do it? Shake the dice. Just keep shaking those dice. Don't just shake them. Don't roll them.
Hey.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, this is what you do when you're shaking dice. And everyone thinks, they're gambling. Dude, you got to roll them.
You got to roll them.
Otherwise, all you get's this.
That's not rolling.
That is not rolling.
That's something else.
That's shaking.
So here's an interesting thing. Like, one of our investors is this woman named Cyan Bannister, and she's most famous for being a seed investor in Uber. She and her husband, Scott Bannister, put $50,000 into the Uber seed round. They were one of the first 8 investors. And at IPO, that stake turned into $200 million plus. It's the dream. Cyan invested in our company. She put $250,000 into our business. She made the bet on energy, on my partner's energy. I don't even think she looked at the deck. I know she didn't look in the data room or the financials. And that's actually what makes her a fucking great investor. And it's rare, because it's counterintuitive to be like, I'm going to meet you, Brad, and I'm going to judge you on your energy and aura and how you behave and your body language. And I don't need your financials, because every investor, most investors they're like way too obsessive about the metrics in the data room. And let's look at your pro forma and your financials. Oh, this isn't good. You guys lost money. You've never turned a profit. And Cyan told us this. She's like, I have a knack for energy. She's like witchy, like a healer. But there was something about our energy that she liked. And I think that can translate for the small investor too, when you're putting in $20 or $500 into a company. Is the person you're betting on, are they a great leader? Do they have grit? Do they have resilience? How do they react under pressure? Do they quit and give up? Or are they never going to quit? This is somebody that we can show and demonstrate through this series that they're going to succeed no matter what. And Cyan is one of the most successful investors out there. Like, she's famous as an investor. It's very hard to do. There's a lot of people that have money and invest in startups, but she has mastered that ability to identify the right founder energy. And I think that concept can translate into a show that's distributed to the masses.
I definitely can. And not only that, if she would have, like, when I look at Uber, just hearing the concept, I would have invested in that. What are you talking about? So people can just open an app, press a button, someone will swoop through, pick them up quick.
You're like, I'm in.
in a nice car, and then you don't have to tip. You just
take my money. Yeah.
Which that changed rapidly. I bet you the drivers changed that no tip shit.
Oh yeah.
Because when it first started, there was no tipping.
No.
You weren't even allowed to. And I'd tip cash, and they'd take it.
Of course. And then they stopped. Yeah.
But I kind of liked that because, dude, nowadays everybody wants a tip for everything.
Yeah, you go to Starbucks and you're asked to tip before you pay for your drink. It's ridiculous.
You don't even know what kind of service you're getting. Now, I always tip minimum 20% just because, like, what kind of a dick doesn't say,
dude, I'm opening a coffee shop next door. You guys can come by anytime.
I tip. I'm just a tipper. Number one, I used to be a waiter. Number two, dude, I think in abundance. Number three, dude, I appreciate that they're there to help me. One time I was in Mexico. We were trying to find breakfast. There was nothing open, nowhere. Like, Mexicans don't eat breakfast, apparently. There was nowhere to be found.
What about breakfast burritos? Is this an American concept?
Well, again, we were in Mexico, not in some touristy spot. There were no restaurants open, dude. Like, believe it or not, they don't eat breakfast much there. So when we finally found one, dude, I was so damn thankful that I'm like, thank you
tip big.
For being here. Thank you for being open. Thank you for cooking. So, I just believe in gratuity.
You're a good guy.
So you throw your little stupid iPad around. I don't care what it is. I'm buying a candy bar at 7-Eleven. If they go, I'll go 20%. Damn it. I'll give it.
That is rare. I think you might be the only person that tips at a 7-Eleven.
Well, they don't do it at 7-Eleven yet, but it's getting close.
Don't tell them about it because we don't want that.
So I think it's going to go big. I know that people are going to go watch it. All they got to do is go to X.
Yep.
Now, do they type in something like going public, or do they have to be following you? How do you find a show on X?
So technically, the show streams from our account, which X calls the creator account. It's at Going Public. Each episode is uploaded to that Going Public account every week. And then there's like 150 clips that are going to go out in between, or you could search Going Public. But no, you don't have to follow the account to find the show, because in theory, X is pushing this out to people. And that's part of the value in our deal with them is they're pushing it out to users. They own the platform, so they can serve up content to anyone they want, however they want, whenever they want. So they're pushing this out to the business and finance community. Super excited about it. And, like you said, do you want to watch a show on your phone? Maybe not. Although they are putting out an XTV app too. So like the same way you download Netflix or Hulu or Paramount Plus, there's an X app as well for your smart TV. So they're definitely moving into entertainment. They obviously are dominating AI with Grok and XAI, which just acquired X. And I just think Musk is not somebody to bet against. And, as much as we might have wanted to go to like a traditional platform, I think we made the right decision by doing something a little bit different with the guys at X.
You might be ahead of your time.
I hope so.
I think there might be a little.
Hopefully not too far ahead. 'Cause sometimes if you're too early, you miss it. You're too late, you definitely miss it.
So again, why you? Like, what was your experience growing up? Where'd you grow up?
Northern California.
Were you always in Hollywood, or?
No. I mean, I came down to LA for college, went to UCLA, dropped out of UCLA, college dropout, got into sales, started my career selling subprime loans a few years before the subprime crisis, and cut my teeth making 400 outbound phone calls and 4 hours of phone time a day. And that actually kind of fed the obsessive nature of my person. And I've got a little ADD and OCD. And I actually found, I felt fulfilled making that, kind of high volume of calls, but it also drove high performance. So I became a top performing kind of cold caller appointment setter, inside sales manager, outside sales, sold Oracle software for a decade, and then became a full-time entrepreneur and kind of pioneer in the online capital raising space.
What kind of monetization does the show have? If I submit $50 to the show or to the fund, doesn't it have to go there?
Well, if you invest $50 into a company in the show, you get $50 worth of securities. And I think for all the companies in season 3, you get $50 worth of shares. We, as the creators of the show, the 3 companies in the series, we average $2 million of stock compensation. So that's a media for equity play. So if we have a company that's in the show or wants to be in the show, we give them an appearance agreement and a warrant agreement. So we end up with a sizable stake in the business. in exchange for us producing their story, putting 8 years of work into this, putting all the components together, having a distribution partner in X. So that means that we want these companies to succeed. We want to see them IPO or get acquired. And it means we're looking for winners.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. Like,
my partner and I, we have an investment committee, we have a board, and we've got some really smart investors that are behind our business, people that have invested in dozens, hundreds of companies, people like Cyan, Chris Birch. So we get a lot of deal flow from our community of investors that say, hey, this is a breakout founder. This is, a winner. These guys just raised 20 million. They're looking for marketing. We get a lot of companies that actually aren't desperate for money, and that's ideal, but they're like, I want to be in this show because I can market my brand. I can market my products. I can raise capital and drive revenue all at the same time.
Yeah. And you guys are pre-vetting them for the average unaccredited investor. Because again, unaccredited usually makes people think no experience. They're kind of dumb. They don't really know what's going on. When in reality, I don't agree with that. It just means you don't make that much money.
That's correct. Yeah, it means that they don't make $200,000 or $300,000 a year. Or they don't have a $1 million net worth,
not
excluding their house.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean they're dumb,
right?
It just means they don't have $1 million to ride into a startup, but they can certainly cut $100 check. They deserve that opportunity. We want to entertain them, and And of course, we want to pick great businesses because I think at the end of the day, it's not enough where the small investor can invest in startups. That's actually been legal now for 10 years. What really needs to happen is that we, my co-creator and I and the industry need to curate the highest quality alternative investments out there so that the small investor actually wins. Because on Wall Street, the retail investor is ridiculed. Like there's very few banks and institutions that give a shit about the small investor. Everybody is catering to the rich, the wealthy, the connected. Everybody wants Chris Birch or Cyan Bannister to open a Goldman Sachs account because they're rich. They can buy 100 products and you can make money off, just fees sitting in the account. The small investor is an afterthought. But you made a comment. If you have 50,000 people put in $1,000, that adds up really fast. What about 500,000 people come in for $100? These things are possible. So we believe in the power of the crowd. We believe that the everyday American deserves that opportunity, and that by showcasing the right deals over time, we can actually decrease the wealth gap in this country, and that's something we really want to do.
There you go, folks. Everybody deserves a little chance in life. So explain the compliance nightmare that you had to get through.
Well, it was definitely a nightmare. We've simplified it. I would say, I'll spare you the gory details. The way it works is that the companies in the series are raising capital under a securities exemption called Reg CF. It stands for Regulation Crowdfunding. It's been in effect since 2016. Billions and billions of dollars have been raised by thousands and thousands of companies outside of the show using this tool. You can raise up to $5 million from anyone over the age of 18 around the world, and the companies that are raising can market their investment. And of course, our show is a form of marketing. But to raise capital this way, you have to provide certain disclosures. The companies have to provide reviewed or audited financials, 2 years, as well as a disclosure document called a Form C.
What if they're a startup?
You could start a business today and still do this process. And you say, we don't have any financials. So your P&L balance sheet, it's all zeros. But you file this Form C that says, here's our plan. It's like the basic minimum amount of disclosure so that a non-accredited investor at minimum can go to this document and look at the business. And maybe they're not interested in the series. Maybe they really want to do that analysis and they have the opportunity to. This process takes like 30 to 60 days. It's relatively inexpensive, costs companies less than $10,000 to tee these deals up. So we've really kind of pioneered the compliance in this industry. We know it inside and out. We've worked both with FINRA and the SEC. We own a broker dealer. We own a FINRA funding portal. We know how to do these deals legally and compliantly. And I think for the next guys that try to do a show like this, they're going to end up cutting corners, and they don't know what they don't know, and they're going to get in trouble. And part of the goal when you're in the securities industry, stay out of trouble. Trouble leads you to bad places. You end up in an orange jumpsuit in the securities industry if you do the wrong thing. So the basic premise, by the way, and a securities attorney told me this years ago, the way to stay out of trouble, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal. Sounds easy enough.
Well, it sure does. Well, again, to me, I think it's more of a gamble, no matter what.
Of course.
Yeah. But I think that's an advantage for the show. Because I'm definitely planning on watching it, and I don't like the fact I got to wait till June, but hopefully you'll change that over time. Like, I want to watch the show, and at the end of the show, ready, set, and by the way, there can only be 5 million. You just said only 5 million.
So you're interested in watching the show. I'm interested, Brad, in seeing you in the show, right?
Well, if I ever raise money for a company, I'll be a show.
I think company. You would be a great host of a challenge in this series.
Well, I'd love to be.
So. Well, you're going to be, right? So we've had Floyd Mayweather, we've had Baron Davis, we had a polygraph test. One of our investors owns a big private hangar off the airport here in Vegas, and we strapped the founders up to a lie detector, and there's a polygraph administrator asking them questions. Are you the right CEO to run this business? Do you feel like an imposter? Do you believe you've got the right team to, build a $1 billion business? I think you're going to be great in this show, in season 4, on X, because you're doing this every day for a living, right?
Well, I like the lie detector.
Well, I knew you'd like the lie detector.
Well, only because I like people to keep it real.
Exactly.
And tell the truth and be real.
No BS.
If I'm not a polygraph administrator, but if you'll have one there for me, he just needs to tell me if they're bullshitting. I'll come up with the questions, and I'll ask questions that may not be relevant to the person, in the hot seat, because they'll be like, what's that got to do with it? Don't worry about it. Answer the damn question.
Yes. That's the energy.
Like, you got a little dick? No. Liar. Oh, he's lying.
That clip will go viral. That's a good one.
Well, again, I can come up with some questions, but I would come up with questions to see if they could actually frickin' tell the truth and keep it real. Because again, sometimes that's what I want to bank on. I want to bank on someone with some integrity and some ethics, and maybe it's not the best answer in the world and they're going to get shit for it, but they told the truth. And when it's like, are you the best CEO? And they say, yeah, I'm the best CEO. Did it go beep? Not true. So in other words, now they don't really think they're the best CEO, because dude, you can't be the best CEO. Like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Bill Gates probably be a better CEO. So if you ask me, are you the best CEO in the position? I'd be like, no, truth. But then I don't get how that benefits. So I'd come up with questions like, let's really test this sumbitch to where like they're getting nervous when they find out, what I'm asking.
Brad, you're hired.
And they'll be embarrassed if they don't watch out, because again, dude, I love the lie detector.
But see, here's why I like you in this show, is because the show has to be entertaining. We've never wanted to produce a show that's like a super serious, in-depth look. People do interviews all the time, save that for someone else. We want the hard-hitting questions, and we want the honest, bare truth. And oftentimes the truth is uncomfortable. It's unsettling. It's scary. But that's that moment when you see the founder, man, like the emperor has no clothes. Like, who is this person? And then the viewer says, I'm not into that one. I like this guy. He was honest. He didn't bullshit.
Are there censors?
Oh, absolutely.
You have rules?
Oh, absolutely.
Not censors like they're, but like censors.
Well, here's the thing. Is
like if I said, do you have what size is your dick? The people might be like, no, we ain't releasing that. Even though that might be the funniest, most viral moment of all. You should ask it
anyways, because the beauty is like, it's Hollywood, it's production. So like you could ask 60 questions and maybe 7 or 8 end up in the series over a season. But like, there's a couple of those bombs that you're dropping that really take the founder out of their element, And now you've got them like, oh shit.
Well, dude,
you've thrown them off their game.
Yeah. I think I can throw them off the game with questions that they're not expecting. They're expecting, you know,
the layups, the easy stuff. Yeah. What's your name? Where are you from? What do you think about your own business? So
you think this is going to succeed? I really do. I really do. No, dude. I got some better questions for you. Let's get rid of those surfacey bullshit questions and let's freaking get real.
Let's take the polygraph to the next level. I mean, I think you've actually taken it to another level just right now. Like, we've already gone into a different universe.
But
hey, we're in show business now, so there's some fun to be had
entertaining.
Here. This is an entertaining show.
But I like the lie detector. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
It's going to be kick-ass, dude.
Now here's the question. You say season 4. How long does it take you to film a whole season?
Technically, it's maybe 3 months, and historically, it's taken us about a year in between seasons to like get our game together again. I think we'll be able to put out season 4 in Q4 this year. We have the foundation dialed at this point. We have distribution. We have capital. We have an awesome, phenomenal, genius level storytelling team. We have a format.
And now you have Bradley.
And now we've got Bradley. The missing link.
That's right.
The final piece to the equation.
I should just host the whole damn show.
And you've been here in Vegas under our nose the whole time. We were here during season 2 filming with Floyd. We didn't need fucking Floyd.
I like Floyd, though. How did he do?
Listen, man, Floyd was great. We got extorted by his guys that did the deal. Yeah, man.
Dude, what you should have done is you should have got Floyd and then brought in 50 Cent to like, they didn't know, but now they're both there. It's like,
Floyd was great, but like the guys around him, and I'm not saying it for all of them, but like we did a deal, we paid a fee, we showed up and we were asked for double the fee or Floyd wasn't going to show up.
Uncool.
Dude, I've never been extorted. Like we were straight up extorted on the spot and we had no choice but to pay twice the amount we negotiated.
There was no contract?
Oh, we had a contract. These guys didn't care.
I know, but I'd have paid up front and then just sent my lawyers
We
after.
were not in a position to fail. We had our whole production team there. And of course, I wired it personally from my account. Floyd showed up. He was great. He was phenomenal. We stayed. I mean, he was so cool.
I wonder if he even knows that happened.
I don't know, man.
Well, now he does.
Now he does.
Floyd, and remember, I know a bunch of people, and Floyd's one of them. Now, I don't know him well enough to call him right now and say, Floyd, you know what happened? But one time I took him to the hockey game at the Golden Knights, and a buddy of mine that knows him well, that could say that, said, you're going to the game? Yeah, you want Floyd to come? I said, what? He goes, yeah, Floyd wants to go to the game. I'm thinking, why would Floyd need a ticket to the game? Like he can get tickets to the game.
Sure.
He said, no, he was following you. And I told him, and he said, yeah, he'll come to the game. I said, dude, let's see you bring Floyd. And so now I got pictures. Someone texts me and they go, dude, a guy sitting, because I'm on the glass and I had a suite at the time. He's the one that made me just like stick with the glass. Anyway, I'm on the glass and I'm always on TV because I'm right there on the glass at the goalie side. And my buddies are texting me going, bro, that dude sitting next to you looks like Floyd Mayweather.
You're like, it is him.
I said, it is Floyd. And they said, dude, how did you get a seat next to Floyd? I said, I brought Floyd, fool. They couldn't believe it. But I like Floyd. He was cool.
He was cool, man. Yeah. Listen, like,
I don't think he knew that. I'll bet you he didn't know that.
Here's how cool he was. And listen, he's one of those guys that's so famous and so wealthy. His posse's enormous, man. You probably know this.
You almost sounded like Christopher Walken when you said that.
Dude,
he's so wealthy.
His posse's enormous.
Yeah, he's so wealthy.
It's
so
like
nice.
30 guys that just go wherever. It's like a mob of people. And some of these guys, they sell access to him and have an agency. Maybe if I were that guy, I'd do the same thing. But Floyd was so cool that we were filming so long into the evening that our host, Baron Davis, who hosted season 2, two-time NBA All-Star, OG investor, rock star, Baron had to stay late, and our production team's like, Baron, you can't go. We need more time. Floyd's like, hey man, I got you. You can take my jet. We'll fly you back from Vegas to LA. I'll make the connect for you. And so he flew Baron on his plane. Like, he's awesome. So like we've got no issue with Floyd. He was great. He did everything he said. But like some of the guys in that crew, not so cool. Lesson learned, you know?
Again, have you ever told that story publicly?
Not like this.
See, now you're going public.
Dude, we're going public, man. You know, it's not all roses.
Dude, that's another thing with the lie detector. We can like consider the lie detector test going public too, because everyone's going to be watching.
Well, dude, there could be a whole show, just the lie detector.
What happens when people say, look, after a couple seasons of me doing the lie detector, people are going to be like, no, we're not doing that part.
Like, hey, Darren,
I'll ask questions that'll like get people arrested, perhaps.
They're like, I want to be on your show, but dude, I saw your last season with Brad, man. I don't want to be that guy.
Or just be clean, because again, dude, if you're a dirty bitch, don't answer. Okay, you better skip this.
Hey, listen, you can plead the fifth, right? So you just say, I'm not answering.
Well, just
it might be better for some people to plead the fifth. Let's be honest. Not everybody has the right answer for the honor.
Well, in the part that I'm doing, they won't know what I'm about to ask, so I'll get away with it the first episode. But if you guys are like, dude, that was good, come back and do another one. Eventually, people are going to realize. And they're going to be like, it's not going to go well. Why? Because, dude, again, I want real answers. I want to know really who they are. And you got to ask some questions sometimes that they're not expecting. And if they're hooked up to a lie detector, dude, that's freaking amazing, because it'll show whether they're full of shit or not. Imagine, you ever think about humping a kid? What is it? Answer the question.
Dude, so we went from like one extreme
like,
and we just did like a 360 with that.
Dude, I'm just saying, like, dude, I don't want to invest in a company. Again, by the way, I forgot that you're a factor and you vetted them and you want them to win because you own a piece already. No, but listen,
we have to show the real person.
All right, no kid stuff. I'll stick with the dick size. But
listen, that's definitely aggressive. But it's not out of bounds. And,
I was being dramatic.
We're trying to have fun. We're trying to show people who these founders are. But I like those as like icebreakers.
Well, again, I'm thinking like conceptually. I wouldn't probably go that direction. But I want it to be to where like their true nature comes out. Because I want people to be able to see it. And I'm not looking for them not to get an investment, but dude, the viewers are counting on me to ask this guy a question to determine whether or not this is the right guy to bank on.
That is correct. They're looking to you to peel the outer layer of confidence and ego.
Yeah.
Right. And just kind of pitching and selling. Who is the person? Who is the human?
When does that film, this episode?
Next 3-4 months.
Okay, so I'm going to think up some questions.
It's going to be a long list.
Without the hard hitting. Like, I don't know about that. Like, I might, because again, like, dude, what if the lie detector's going? He's like, of course not. And it's like, lie. Are lie detectors admissible?
Well, in court of law, I think they're not. But for our show, they're in. Now,
filming takes time. So can I get hooked up or bring my wife real quick to test the polygraph
Absolutely.
machine?
I mean, someone's got to grease the wheels of this thing first to warm it up.
I'm going to say, babe, I got to go do this thing. And she's going to go, oh, cool. I'm going to say, come with me. And then she won't know what I'm doing. And then I'll be like, hey, hook her up. She'll
hook her up.
Yeah. What are you doing? Don't worry. We're just testing the machine. Then I'll ask her some questions. Dude, can you imagine? Have you ever seen that show that they do a lie detector? I don't know what the show is called, but basically they're couples and you get hooked up to a lie detector and then the other couple asks you questions. And if you tell the truth, you get this big chunk of money. And if you lie, you're out. And at the very end, it's always about, have you ever cheated on your spouse? Yeah. And dude, the ones that really want the money, they say yes.
They'll be honest.
Has it been in the last year?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Was it in the last month? They're like,
yes. That's the $1 million winner.
And they end up breaking up, but she wins the money or he wins the money. Like that type of shit's fun to watch.
That's what we're trying to create, man. That's the whole point. It can't just be a boring business show. There's a lot of boring business shows.
All right. Well, I think I'd be perfect for
Jim Cramer hosts a boring business show. And he's wrong 9 times out of 10.
Did he?
Dude, he's so
Is he the beard, the goatee that screamed with the rolled up sleeves?
Yeah, I saw him last week on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange in New York, and he's, the inverse Kramer. You'd make more money investing in the anti-Kramer call. It's shocking that CNBC still has this guy on.
Well, you guys are looking at the deal and the founder and everything before, because if you don't want a piece of it, you're probably not letting them on the show.
That's correct.
So the viewers already have that advantage because people are already looking at this whole deal. So it's likely a winner to begin with.
I hope so. I mean, look, the reality is investing in startups is risky. Big VCs, they make 10 big bets. They lose 9 out of 10 times. They're lucky if one of those works and returns the fund. But the premise is that the small investor demands access. They deserve the opportunity. And again, they're not betting the farm, right? You always hear people say, the grandma in Illinois is going to bet her farm on this startup. No, she's not. She's not on X. She's not doing it. But people do want to bet. They want to play. They want to roll the dice.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, you never know. Someone with like life savings sees a company that their heart's pounding and they're like, dude, God's telling me, bang, they could bet the farm and they could freaking hit it big. And I'd say they have an advantage. Why? Number one, you guys have already vetted them. You guys wouldn't be interested in letting them on the show, number one. Number two, the fact that it's a publicly viewed, millions of viewers show automatically puts them at an advantage because, again, people get on Shark Tank sometimes. They're not interested in an investment.
No, they'll actually be willing to be humiliated because it'll launch their business.
1,000%.
And they'll be willing to take shit from Kevin O'Leary. Not a fan of, although his politics I'm actually kind of liking. But
what's his politics?
Well, I mean, I think he was right about Trump. He was right
What did he say about Trump?
Well, look, I think he saw where the election was headed well in advance, and I think his comments about tariffs and this new protectionist era, I think, are valid.
See, I wish I knew what he was saying because I don't pay attention. Not
that I pay attention to Kevin O'Leary, but like he's a guy that's in the news and he's pretty intelligent and he's got a lot to say. And
but I don't watch the news, so I'm wondering like what did he say to see if I agree with him? Like what did he say about tariffs? I agree with tariffs before I know what he said.
I think he supports the tariffs. I think he supports the idea of trying to bring back manufacturing and create new jobs in the United States that were outsourced or sent off to China or Vietnam. I think he just generally likes the vision that Trump has laid out for this country. And again, at minimum, he's got conviction. He's not always right. He made that big bet on Sam Bankman-Fried, and he's like, I could never go wrong. He's been wrong. But, if you make a number of bets, you're bound to be wrong from time to time.
Well, the tariffs, not to get off on another tangent, but the tariffs to me are not about bringing manufacturing home. Because, again, I mean, if they never would have left if it was about that. The reason why they left is because shit's cheap. The tariffs don't make it much more expensive. It's still more expensive to manufacture it here. So
yes.
Bringing it home is not the answer. It's like, now I got to pay more for a damn iPhone. What I like about the tariffs is I think it's just leverage.
It's a negotiation tactic.
It's negotiation. Trump's not stupid. He knows we're the biggest consumer of all their bullshit. He knows their whole world's going to crash unless the Americans buy it.
He wants to bring them to the bargaining table and get a better deal.
He wants to say, come on in, boys. And eventually he wants to say, listen, how about just free trade?
Let's make a deal.
How about we'll buy your shit, you buy our shit, as long as there are no tariffs. So we're just freely trading.
I agree with you.
And it's leverage. Yeah. And he's the only one with the balls enough to do it.
Took guts.
Because the rest of them, they're on payroll from China 9 times out of 10. They don't have the balls. They don't have the nerve. They're worried about their lobbyist, money donors.
No.
And Trump's not.
Can't be bought.
Trump's like, look, this is a negotiation. And I think Trump, and again, I'm not a big, huge Trump fan where like anything he does is the best.
Yeah.
But he's a businessman. And that's what I like. He's a businessman and that's a negotiation tactic. And that's all it is. And he's leveraging it. And you can't necessarily, buy him.
No. And it seems to be working, by the way.
Of course. Again, I don't really know because when I look at the media, I see lies. I see narrative, I see nonsense. And in reality, the mainstream media has lies. Well, if you have lies, then how do you know when it's truth or not? So what people do is they see something they agree with and they'll be like, see, it said it on the news. But then they see something they disagree with. They say, oh, this mainstream is full of shit. You got to pick one. They either tell the truth or they lie. And I think they lie. And so if they lie, I can't believe anything. So when they say, Trump's tariffs have already caused 71 countries to come over here and bend over for us. I always think, see, they work. When in reality, that could be a lie. How do you know? I'm not at those meetings. I don't know what the hell's going on. But I know that the tariffs are a leverage and Trump's willing to use them, and that's why I like them.
I'll say this relative to like what's true and what's not true. I think one of the places where people can actually discern the truth is on X. And what I mean by that, it's like the Matrix. Like it's the most real-time news feed in the world.
Their fact checkers do the opposite.
It's not even the fact checkers. It's just a stream of consciousness from all kinds of people, from world leaders to CEOs to venture capitalists to everyday people. And you scroll through it for a few minutes and you see 5 opinions here, 6 this way. And suddenly within 5 minutes, you're like, this is true.
Or at least you have enough information to form your own opinion.
Yeah. And interestingly, like during the election, the mainstream media would have had the average American convinced that Kamala was going to win. But if you were on X and you saw the feed, you saw the Matrix, I knew, I was like, there's no way. This is all BS over here. I'm not saying she didn't get votes or wasn't close, but it was, you just see enough of that consciousness, you can very quickly say, no, that she's not, these things are crazy. She's actually quite unpopular to the average person. You can see that on X in real time.
And I got to tell you, dude, my intuition was right based on faith in the society. Like I said, there's no way. We're not that far gone that is what we believe is the best option. It's impossible.
Impossible.
And thankfully, I was correct.
Thankfully, you were correct.
And now you're starting to see the narrative spin again. There's people who are like, well, you wanted Trump and you got him and here's what's happening and now we're screwed. And I'm like, who's screwed?
People are crazy, man. There's like a psychosis out there. Like they drive themselves paranoid. And I do think Trump derangement syndrome is real.
Very real.
It is real. It's not like an own the libs thing. Like people lose their minds about this stuff. They flip out and they key Teslas and they Molotov cocktails. People are actually losing their minds.
Yeah, my daughter is like, a vegan and very liberal and, she feels sorry for the underdog and like she's, a classic liberal. And, my assistant Maria voted for Kamala. Like I don't care who you vote for. Like I'm good with everybody. But yeah, I think you might be dumb if you do. But at the end of the day, my daughter's this way. And man, when Trump was president the first time, and taxes went down for everybody, including her, she wouldn't see it. So again, to me, sometimes you're so far this way, it doesn't matter if it's that man. I don't care. And that's the TDS. Trump derangement syndrome. They don't care what's going on. He could give everybody $1 million and they would say no.
No, he could cure cancer and they would find a reason to criticize him. And I'm like you. I'm not a guy that thinks Trump does everything right. There's things I don't agree with. There's things I think he's doing wrong. But if you were on X during the election, people said, oh, you're in an echo chamber. You're in an echo chamber. No, it turns out legacy media was the echo chamber. MSNBC, CNN, New York Times. X was the signal. That was the stream of consciousness from tens of millions of people in the United States.
Real people.
And if you were on there, you was so black and white. You'd say, there's no way Kamala Harris is going to win. But if you were not dialed into that signal, you were actually in the echo chamber.
I'm getting back on X.
You should.
I mean, I've been on X for a long time, but I never...
You're on there.
I'm on there.
Yeah.
But I really never go there and engage and use it. I post and then I jump out.
Yeah.
I'm mainly on Instagram.
Yep.
I don't know why Instagram, but...
You're on the gram.
I'm getting back to X.
Bring that Brad energy to X. Bring that polygraph energy to season 4.
I'm going back to X. I'm on season 4, going public. That's it.
Let's go.
And hopefully I'll be like on every episode of Going Public.
Let's make it happen.
Folks, if you're in the Bomb Squad and you want to see Brad on more than one episode, dude, go watch the show, vote, bombard this dude in his DMs.
Let's do it.
And let's just make me the host of the show. You guys don't really have a host.
We didn't bring back Barron for season 3, so there's technically no host.
It could be me.
It could be.
Permanently.
It's possible.
Hey. let's let the viewers decide.
Let's let the viewers decide.
Last question. What do you have to be an American company, or because I get listened to all over the country. If you're in the UK, can I come apply to be on the show and take money from American investors? Can I invest from London?
Any investor around the world can invest in companies in the series. The companies we're casting are generally US based, but technically you could be a UK company. The entity that raises capital has to be a US entity per like the Reg CF rules, the way the compliance works. But you could have a UK company that has a subsidiary, and that's the entity that raises capital, but the parent company is based overseas.
So if I want to be on the show, I want to go public, I want to raise money, where do I apply? Where do I go? Goingpublic.com
and click apply.
Okay.
And we look at every application.
And if I want to invest in past shows that I've missed because I'm just hearing about it, where can I go look at all the shows and the companies prior?
Goingpublic.com. You can find seasons 2, seasons 1, and then to look at the companies in season 3, follow at Going Public on X, subscribe to our email list. You get early access to deals, episode alerts, and then you'll be first.
Where do I do
that? At the Going Public handle on X.
Go to X at Going Public.
Yep, it's all there.
And then where do I follow you?
At Darren Marble.
Folks, just like it sounds. And remember, folks, if you ever go nuts and crazy and decide not to go check out the episode, we're just going to say you lost your marbles.
Fair.
Well, I appreciate you coming in.
You're the man.
Looking forward to doing the show.
Mutual.
Can't wait to film it. I'll think up some good questions.
I think you got at least one.
I got one right now. Listeners, listen, when this episode drops, leave some comments on what kind of questions, truth bombs, real answers you want me to ask, and I'll ask some on the show.
Unfiltered raw truth. Don't hold back.
Don't hold back.
What's
Real
your
questions
mind?
that cause the person to like either face the music or get shot down.
I like it, dude.
Because that's the question. That's why, lie detector, that's perfect.
That is literally the energy we want.
But you guys are doing gun ranges, race tracks,
Baja race cars,
you ever do
challenges, hockey challenges.
Parachuting?
No, but we could do that.
Again, let's see if they'll jump out of an airplane.
We could do it.
Because you got to have some balls to do that. I mean, that's a scary shit. Would you?
Maybe.
I'm not. Like, again, I do not need adrenaline, bro.
When I was younger,
nor do I need your validation. Like, everybody does it, so everyone will say, oh, man, he's a stud. Dude, I don't care if you think I'm a stud or not. I'm not jumping out of a fucking airplane for nothing.
Yeah.
Unless it's going down.
There's got to be a good reason.
Yeah, if it's going down and the pilot's dead and like dude, that's the best
last
option.
resort, I'm out.
I'll jump without even one bit of fear because I'd fear staying on it. But as long as it's flying safely, dude, I'm not jumping out of that shit.
Brad, I like the way you think.
Well, I'm a common sense guy.
Yeah.
And again,
I can see that.
Common sense tells me Going Public is going to be a smash hit.
You're the man.
And I
Let's do it
applaud you
together.
for spending 8 years.
Thank you.
Keeping it together, because a lot of people quit and give up.
Yeah, we're half crazy.
Need an immediate payback. So Bomb Squad, go out and listen to this guy, follow the show. Sign up for an X account and follow me. I'm going to be in there taking questions that I can ask on the lie detector. Till next time, keep it real.